Hello YouTube, Old Rusty here. Today we're going to start on a tutorial for building the cave copper farm to get those maximum drops by converting zombies to drowned. Let's take a look here. Let's just dive right into this. So this farm that we're going to go over is quite expansive. It's going to come in three parts. We're going to do our spawn building chamber, followed by our conveyor system over to the other chunk area, and to the conversion area is what we're ultimately going to go with. So before you get any groundwork done with this, you are going to need to set up certain things. This farm is chunk aligned and directional. You mess up either one of those things, this farm's not going to get you that sweet, sweet copper. And that's what we're about here. Sweet, sweet copper. So, chunk alignment. Once you get on chunk base, put in your coordinates for where you're at. In a frozen ocean, has to be a frozen ocean. Get a chunk. Map it out. Find the spot where four corners of four chunks intersect. And then figure out which way is north. Now north is always going to be when the z-axis goes down. Once you've got your four chunks, your four corners figured out, and your direction, you're going to build this on the east and the west. The east side is where you're going to build your spawning platform, and then you're going to let minecart conveyors move them all the way over to the west, so you can convert them. And what's the other great thing about this? Map the whole thing out, because when you are done with your east and west, you can sit here and build the drowned farm on your north and your south, and get 500 copper an hour. This will give you 200 by itself, which is okay. It's pretty good, actually. So, let's start building this over a series of videos that I'm either going to splice together into one really long, absurd video, or I may do a series on YouTube. I don't know. But if you're watching this, then you'll already know if you're looking at a playlist or an hour-and-a-half long video of me monologuing, doing a terrible job editing. If you think this is cringe, congratulations. You're observant and have half a brain. That's what we go for here. Mediocre YouTube. So, let's begin. Very first thing, we are literally going to build this whole farm from the ground up. So, I have my two chunks mapped out from the four corners with the stained glass, and this is where my chunk border ends. This is exactly 32 blocks away from my center four over there. This pink line represents the chunk border that I am concerned with ultimately for spawning to keep mob caps separated here. So what we are going to do is you are going to go in from the go to the chunk border right here, and you're going to come in one from the edge of that chunk, and you're going to put down hay, and then you are going to run this hay all the way across for exactly 32. This whole farm is going to fit in this 32 long, and we're just going to build it out from there. Now you may be wondering, why am I in fact putting hay down? Because fall damage. Lately, Bedrock's been a little funny on whether or not it will in fact prevent, if water will prevent mobs from taking fall damage. I'm finding they still kind of do. So, we'll get more into that later. So really what we're looking at doing here, oh, you know what, I did that. My bad, we're not doing solid blocks, we're doing soul sand. So we gotta get rid of, all this. And what we're going to run here on the first part is soul sand. The soul sand is to establish bubble columns, which we'll get to in a little bit. So now that you got this down, we want to block off both ends with the water here. There we go. Let's get some water buckets. So, very first thing we want to do is waterlog. You want to get this all waterlogged. And then take yourself a detector rail. Because, not detector. Oh, we want activator. This is an activator rail. And you want to put an activator rail in all this. Now, of course, because we're in a frozen ocean, you're going to find that it's going to... Nope. what you're going to find is that it wants to freeze. But once you get the activator rails down, they'll stop freezing. So I would just grab them in there real quick. When you're doing other water sources here later, you have to be more careful. Fortunately, it does provide some advantages. And there we go. So we've now waterlogged everything and have an activator rail in it. Now, of course, right now the issue is that the minecarts are the rails are facing the wrong way because they're going to move around, and that is not what we want. So whenever you're running these rails north to south, as soon as you throw this down, it's going to change position. Now, the good thing about this is, even if you break it later, it's going to stay that way. So you're going to come all the way along here, this whole thing, and you're going to put down rails. And this is so that they will always have something to permanently affix to, and then we can put in our minecarts. And if we ever find ourselves having to mess with things, we're still good. These will always face the right way now, as long as we leave those rails in. So once you get that done, we're going to want to put down our 32 minecarts, because it's easier to do it now than later. As you're building this farm, you will find mobs will start spawning in it if you don't have it in peaceful. So if you are in your own world, that's not really an issue. But if you're playing on a realm where you can't control the difficulty, the advantage of doing this from the ground up is you can keep everything lit up until you are absolutely ready for it to, be ready to start spawning stuff. So next, what we're going to do here is we need to take care of, because what we're about to do with water flow here, we need to actually put in signs now, one block above all the minecarts. And this is to keep the, this is again, we're controlling water flow here. If you do this in an earlier video recording attempt where I left my microphone off, I forgot to do this part until after I put in the rest of the water flow, and it was painful. And this whole thing is going to be me kind of building this one thing at a time. Think of it more of a live stream except recorded. Let's just get this going. You want to put these signs all the way down. Any sign will do. Use your favorite wood. I'm going to use oak throughout this build just for a color and consistency. Alright, so now we're done. Hooray! So now that we've got our soul sand in and our minecarts and waterlogged and activator rails, we can get the rest of this going. So now at this point, the goal of what we're trying to do here, like really the point of all of this, is to create both a soft landing area with bubble columns so that in the event of any bugs, that the mobs won't die when they'll hit the bubble columns and they'll negate all their damage. Occasionally, one will fall directly into the minecart, and that's what the hay bale's for, to reduce that damage to something that won't instantly kill them. This goes up a while. That fall damage will murder a zombie or creeper so quick. And we're just going back and forth here. This whole spawning platform is basically layered, and this is by far the most aggravating part. Oh, now, we're going to put water down, but before we do that, water will freeze. So, you definitely, before you ever mess with any flowing water in this farm, always make sure that there is something above it, because otherwise it gets painful. So, now that we got all that set up, also need to make sure that we're not going to have water flowing out anywhere. Do the same over there. And then you could go through here and either use a bucket or use ice. we're going to use a bucket for today. Now, the one advantage of this is first thing you want to do is run through and waterlog all these bubble columns. And normally when you're messing with bubble columns and flowing water, you're more concerned about getting a large spread out. Not in this case. We only want it to flow one block. So, once we got all that, then you're going to come back up here, and in here, you're going to put in one source of water for every single. This is what we're going to end up with. And what we have created, ultimately, is once all these, well, you know, we need to... Might as well install this now. So the other part that you're going to want to install, because again, we're building this from the ground up. It's good to get the wiring going in here while you're doing the rest of this. So in this case, I'm opting with nether wart because it provides a nice contrast. That'll be easy to see how we're running this. Now, this 32 minecarts, we're going to have another 64 in here. We're going to break almost 100 minecarts when we're running this farm. What you don't want to happen is you have an inability to shut that off. So we're just going to do this. Take your solid block of choice. It could even be glass. It genuinely doesn't matter. In my case, we're going to run it all the way across just so that we can show a nice convenient way to wire it up. You could use target blocks if you really wanted to. Actually, no, you can't. Never mind, I take that back. Because we're using hay bales. And what you are going to want to do is do this pattern and run your redstone, all along. And we'll ultimately, eventually, we're going to wire up all this redstone together. But in the meantime, we're going to do this. Every other block, we're going to put a repeater. Or not. What did I mess up here? I messed something up. Let's go back. Nope, I didn't mess anything up. And then we're going to put redstone going in between them. And what this does is this is going to allow us to pass the redstone signal in to power all... Nope. We're going to show you this real quick. All we need is a leather. What that allows us to do mostly is run this through. So what we need to do here is we got to extend it out just a little bit. That's going to extend that out. And we're going to do the same over here. Now, all these minecarts are activated. Mobs come out. They fall from a big long way up. We're going to get bounced right in here and ultimately zipped along at a very rapid pace out. But we want to be able to turn these things off. So, this is part 1 complete. This is the catch module. Next, we're going to build all this up. That'll be another video. So again, Old Rusty's copper farm. Step 1. Minecart, soul sand, bubble column, catch system with redstone. Complete. See you next time. Good afternoon, YouTube. And Twitch. Old Rusty here again. So, it has occurred to me that during my last filming on Twitch, without paying attention really to my my feed, I had people popping in chat. So, I apologize, and if you're back again, by all means, please, you know, say something in the chat if you log in. So, I'm pulling up my Twitch right now, and then we will continue with part 2 of the Cave Copper tutorial. Soon to be coming. You know, I have no idea how to pull up my chat. Ah, there we go. So if anyone starts watching. Let's get back to this. So part 2. We have now wired up and built our collection system down here to move all those mobs along, and we have redstone wired up. Now what we're going to do is start our spawning platform. I'm going to show you how to build exactly half of this, and then you have to do this 10 more times. So there are 11 platforms in total. What we are looking at doing here ultimately is utilizing buttons and skulk veins with flowing water, so that no matter where these will spawn in, they will find themselves pushed along. They can't do this. And then they'll come down here. I'm going to show you how to build. It's mirror images on both sides. So you want to start by, this is going to take up the entirety of your 2 block radius here. Now water flows out 8 blocks from its source, which is what's limiting us here to this 8. And the first thing you want to do is any solid block of your choice, so long as it's spawnable, you're going to sit here and fill in all these blocks. Who knows how this will play out? In any event, we'll get this going. And if somebody pops up in my chat, I guess I'll say something. So I'm going to start paying attention to my Twitch from now on, even though I primarily use this just to upload to YouTube because Xbox is terrible. But I'll continue with my monologuing and thoughts of life and lessons and whatnot. So first thing, you want to get this 32 by 8 platform going. Of course, you're going to do it on the other side as well. We'll address this 3 gap here when we're done. Next thing is you're going to want to take yourself your fence post of your choice and run it all the way around. Oh, no, don't want to do that. We'll fix that in a second. And you're going to want to run it all the way around, and you are going to want to have it meet up with whatever you have set up here in the middle. And then, and this is the fun part, you're going to go back around and do it again. It's a lot of fence posts, alas. No one ever said that getting massive amounts of copper from converting zombies in the cave cap was going to be a simple thing. Now, once that's ran all the way around, if you accidentally put down too many like I did, get rid of those. Next comes buttons. Now, the purpose of the buttons is to, of course, prevent spider spawns. So you're going to run through, and every other space on every other row, you're going to put down a button. Which means you're going to be using 2 stacks of buttons per layer. And, well, you know, per layer, with 11 layers, it's a lot of buttons. It's a lot of fence posts. It's a lot of building blocks. Solid blocks for this farm alone. I'll have a materials list when I'm finally done with this project. This thing's probably going to come in 90 minutes. Warts and all, including my monologuing. In any event, what we're basically going to be looking at... oh, see, I already messed up. Is the purpose of the buttons, spiders. Spiders spawn in this farm. You have no way to flush them out. They're going to fill up your mob cap of 16. Then your farm's going to shut down. Everything's ruined. Spiders ruin everything. They're terrible. But something as simple as a button and sacrificing 1/4 of our spawn spaces will prevent them. Now, next we need to get this water flow. Because really what we're looking at here is we want the water to be 1 layer up. So all the mobs will spawn. But we still need to push them. I am a big fan of skulk vein. However, There are two other options if for some reason you are in a situation where you don't have skulk vein. You can utilize scaffolding. You can also utilize item frames. Will do the same function. So you could put a bunch of these down, and that's going to act exactly like the skulk vein is. Or you can do scaffolding. Here's the problem with scaffolding. I hold the button down, which is great. That's what you want scaffolding to do. Item frames. You can put the item frame in the item frame. So again, your problem here is wasting materials. And this is a lot. This is like 80 stacks of whatever you're going to have to do to put down. I love skulk vein because you can do this. I'm just literally holding it down, and then you just run along and set everything up. Skulk vein, it won't stack on itself, but it meets the same requirements. Mobs can spawn on it, which is super duper useful in this case. And it'll push the water up. So then again, you're going to run around and you get your buttons down and just spam click skulk vein all across this thing. You're going to do this a lot. The most tedious part of this entire farm is this spawning platform, because it's so big. It's irritating to build. This is where the vast majority of your materials are going to get spent, is just to prepare the area so that you can get some kind of decent rate through. Because remember, oh no, more snow, and do another command. I should have set up a command block, but then where's the fun in that? So you just spam skulk vein all over the place. You want to make sure you get all of it, because one little mess up here and it's done. And we're going to go into messing up here in a second, and why you don't want to. Because if you miss one skulk vein, especially here at the edge, please make sure for your own sanity that you are paying real close attention to all these at the edge. Because what will happen if you don't have one is water flow mechanics are going to kick in, and then you're going to get a cascade effect. And I'm going to show you here in a second why that's terrible. See, I messed up right there. Let's get my button back. You have one spot where a spider can spawn, a spider will spawn, and then more will spawn, and more and more and more. Your whole farm is ruined. Alright, so what we've got here down so far is we have our platform, we have all of our buttons to prevent spider spawns, and we have skulk vein. The next thing you're going to do after that is you are going to want to start to put the roof in on the next level, but just this one block. Because remember, as you build this upwards, you're going to start making it so that light levels are enough that enemies can start spawning. Now, we're fine. We want them going down. But what you don't want to do is you have to come back down here and do more. In creative mode, obviously, I'm not going to be pushed around by this water. But what I would strongly suggest you do, because you're not going to probably build this in creative, is Depth Strider 3. Doesn't matter what it's on. Gold boots, netherite, diamond. You'll know that you've put all the water correctly because it's all going to flow exactly to this. What happens if I mess this up? That's going to mess my signs up. Watch. The water's going to update. It's going to flow down. That's going to be a problem in a second. And I'm going to show you why. Because now that we have this, let me watch it. So you're there, you're floating along, the enemies spawn in, and they get pushed down. They're going to get pushed from all the way up here when we're all said and done. But when you're putting this, definitely go with Depth Strider 3. They're going to help you to move around in this and not get shoved around by this water. So now we have this and we're good. Any creepers are going to spawn in here, any zombie villagers or zombies or right, they're all going to, or witches, they're going to get pushed by this water because they're 2 blocks high. What is the problem is baby zombies and baby zombie villagers are not going to touch this water. And they're just going to build up in your farm unless you go to extreme measures, which is what we're going to do here today. So counting from, pick your side. You want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to put a temporary block down there. And what we're going to do with that temporary block is we're going to put a turtle egg because they love turtle eggs. They want to smash them. You're going to use a lot of trapdoors here. You're going to go around, and you're going to put that up. And then we're going to get rid of that. And ultimately, what you're going for here is this. You want 3 per level, right? Starting here and then up. You want a turtle egg at the baseline, and then you want a trapdoor below, and then you're going to go up. Every level you do, you want to do this. You're going to pop it down. I find the easiest way to do this is crouch, face inwards, so that you're looking, when you look up, you're facing turtle egg. Crouch down and jump up. Especially in survival. This is really easy to do as long as you have the stacks. And then as you build each level up, you're going to just keep raising this up again and again and again. And then the last pit, the last coup de grace here is on the alternating sides. Coral fans change. It would appear they did. Oh. See, I made a mistake. I grabbed dead coral. Sorry about that. So the last pit that you're going to want here... Oh, I'm doing well, Kenny Bank, AI 911. Sorry, just kind of half paying attention to my phone here. We're currently doing a recording of how to build a copper farm in Bedrock using zombie conversions. So what you're going to want to do is with coral fans, you're going to want to put 4 of them around each one of these posts. Now what this is going to do is any zombie villager, baby zombie villagers that spawn in here, they're going to immediately detect that turtle egg, and they're going to run towards it. Think this is a solid block, and run themselves off and fall down. And then that's going to, ultimately, the minecart is going to follow along. I appreciate the follow on Twitch. I primarily use Twitch just to so I can stream my Xbox, and then from there, I tend to upload it on YouTube. So then, where this is block 6, we want to go in another 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we're going to do the same thing. So, same pattern over here. You want to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with a 6 block there. And this is a really good way to get your turtle eggs laid out. And then from there, that's, again, ultimately you're going to use 44 when we're doing this. 44 turtle eggs and a whole lot of trapdoors. We're going to spin it around, and we're doing this a bunch more times. I haven't played, the only video games I really play anymore are, Minecraft. I don't have a lot of time for much else, so stick with what I like, but, so no, not really. And then again, what we're going to do is we're going to run around here. He asked if I shoot first-person shooters for anybody watching this on YouTube in the future. No, Minecraft is about the only thing I play. And, I primarily just use Twitch because, I don't have a graphics card, and I'm on console. So again, run around here, don't break the turtle egg. Make sure you knock out that that extra block there. And then one more to go, people. And then again, ultimately when this farm is done, it will make, oh, I did that. It'll make 200 copper an hour and about 1,000 gunpowder an hour. And let it stack with your drowned farm. I'm getting 500 copper, 500. I've actually gotten about 520 on average in the realm I play in. No, it's not. It's not affiliated with anything. I think you're like the third person ever in my chat room. Purely hobby. No interest in affiliation or monetization or sponsorships or anything else. Yep. So then obviously, right, per layer, you don't have to knock these out. You can if you want. And then what your final layer should look like as you go up and build this thing one at a time. And I strongly suggest you just do this layer by layer. Oh, I appreciate that. So what you're really looking at here, oh, I forgot the last thing, the coral fans. It doesn't matter what kind of coral fans you utilize on this, but you have to have the coral fans. It is key in tricking the baby zombies out. You could use buttons instead of the fans, but they really, really love and reacting quicker to the coral fans. So each layer that you build here, you're going to, this is what you're looking at. Every layer you're looking at the 16 by, or 32 by 8 solid blocks, plus a whole lot of skulk vein, a whole lot of buttons. You'll need some stacks here. What, 2, 4, 6, 8, 16 coral fans, and about that many trapdoors. Well, 3 times that many trapdoors, and 4 turtle eggs. And this is what we're looking at. This is layer 1 complete. I'm gonna let that sit there for a second. There, that's better. Is there anybody in the future looking at this tutorial? This is layer 1 complete. The only other thing you're gonna want to do here is any gaps you might have in your fences. You want to kind of close this up. Once you get higher up, you have to less. It's okay for this 1 block gap here, but you want to make it so that nothing's going to manage to slip out of the farm anywhere else except the minecarts. No, don't ever destroy the... And there we go. And if you care about looks, we can do that too. This end is going to be our ejection end, so we'll get back to that at a later time. So, build this 10 more times. It's a lot. This whole farm, where I've already marked out here, is layered. Right? This is floor 1, floor 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then the last thing we're going to do is the roof. I'm not going to subject you to the tedious building of all this again and again and again. This is what you want it to look like. You wanted this exact pattern laid out here, going all the way up to the roof. And what will probably be a cutscene for you, or part 3, depending if I can figure out how to get all these things merged together, is we're going to have all this built. And then we're going to build the roof, and then we'll get into the fun times of zipping all these mobs across. But, just so you can see what it does, let's put this over into easy. We're going to turn... Oh, I want mob spawning off. And then let's get a creeper and a zombie. Now, no matter where they are, here we go. Said creeper's going to spawn, and it's going to get pushed along. It can't help it, and it's going to go down there. And where it's ultimately going to move. Zombies, same thing. Let's get a baby zombie. No baby zombies. There we go. You saw how that one ran right off? It was quick. But they see that coral, and they just think they can run off. Meanwhile, I'm safe. My eggs are completely safe. They can never get to them. So let's wipe all these guys out. Or girls. I make no assumptions as to the Ginger status of the undead. So, old Rusty out. Next time I'm gonna have all this built up and we'll do the roof. Have a good one. Rusty back again for the next part of our Cave Copper Madness build. So when we left off, I had the first floor completed. Several clone commands later, building this in survival. Again, it's a bit tedious. And we are done. And what we are looking at here is a plethora of buttons with skulk sensors, flowing water, and lots of trapdoors and coral fans. This thing works amazingly well. I decided we're going to skip the roof. As in, I'm not going to show you how to build a roof. What you need to do is come out 7 blocks in every direction from the edges and fill it in and slab it off because you don't want any surface spawns up here. The only thing of note are the 3 in the middle. You need to have them offset 1 block up so that these top layers, the turtle legs, are still going to be there. If you have the block here, it's not going to be high enough air gap to attract the zombies to the turtle leg, and then they won't be lured out. Pretty straightforward with the roof. Now, what we want to do with the rest of this next is we are going to set up our minecart run all the way across 4 chunks. So again, your minecarts are going to want to go north, and they're going to want to go east. Now, when you're setting up your north, as we went over to there, again, you don't want them side by side like this because you don't want this minecart being able to move around. But if you, it's going to automatically want to default to run. Running them east or west to east tends to be a little more complicated. But it's nothing we can't get over. And what we're going to do is just run right on. First things first, we want this to fall 3 blocks from this top corner. 1, 2, you're going to want this to be 3rd because we need to leave a little bit of clearance so that we are not messing with our redstone up here. And you're going to see why here in a second. So whenever you're doing that, first off, count your 2 down from the hay bale. You want a 2 block gap, and then you want to be able to place something right here. That's going to be your activator rail. Now here's the problem, right? I have my activator rail. I want to put another one next to it. Oh, well, that's not going to work. But it can be done. So first things first, we're just going to run our 96 lines all the way over to right here. And then from there, very first thing we're going to want to do is get these rails. Before we can do the rails, we need support structures. And again, we are running this all the way up from one chunk all the way to the chunk edge on the other one. Nope. And get it. Now, this is what we're looking at having to do here. So for us to, in order for us to be able to get these rails together, that's obviously not going to work. It's always going to want to prefer that other way, like running east to west. But there is a way to trick it. So what we're going to do is instead, what you have to do is you have to place down a rail like that. Because when you do this on both sides and you let it lock in, then you can come behind and do this. A tad tedious, I admit. So, gotta do this, all the way down. And we still want these other solid blocks here. So, again, it is minecart rails. They can be pain. And you just want to pop these one at a time. clearing out some of our chunk border shenanigans here. Alright, and we're going to just keep on going. Gonna swing back around and do it all the other way as well. I suggest just using regular rails. Now, you can go back behind and delete these rails if you're so inclined. I would suggest leaving as many of them in place as you possibly can. Because it just... Oh, no, see, again. Rails are finicky. We're just going to keep running around. And now we can go through and pop down all these. And we just keep running. Again, the glass is now getting in the way. It's okay. Everything is fine. Why would you want to build this farm? Because you love copper. It does make a lot of gunpowder and gives me a chance to monologue. And now that we have all of these in, now we can go back and very carefully, without adding anything else, don't misclick, as we can put down the rest of our rails. And just work our way over. Now, even though we are running west to east, the reason why the orientation matters and that we're pointing north, you'll see in a little bit here. Because even once we drop them down and they run east to west or west to east, it still wants to prefer that northern direction, and we are going to use that to our advantage. And the best part is what I messed up here. I did not waterlog anything. Well, fortunately, we still have all these other pieces in place. I'll show you. So, a perfect example of why you want to leave these in place. Also, we want to make sure that's closed off. Now, here's the problem. We're going to do this. They're all gone. We want this whole thing waterlogged. Pop here. Oh, of course, you know, everyone's favorite, it's going to start filling up. Or I should say freezing. Gotta love it. Alright, now. See, and we did manage to save some of these when you do it fast enough. Now we can go in and clear these out. And waterlog. Now, the reason why we want to waterlog all these again, fun with rails. Do that one here, because if it doesn't have solid support on both, it's going to do that. See? Now I can go back here and do this. And we're moving. All these in. Alright, and with that, we have now successfully placed down 64-ish activator rails. And then the minecarts come in. You are correct, this is a lot of minecarts. This is a tedious process, even under the best. When you're in creative, this is tedious. It's even worse when you're in survival. I have done it. You just keep going. Take your time with the minecarts, or I should say, take your time with the getting the rails right. They all need to be facing the right way. It can be a bit aggravating, especially when you think it's coming along and you make a mistake. But it's worth it in the end with how quickly this moves mobs across. Now, of course, the other problem we have right now is ultimately our AFK position is going to be pretty high up. There we go. Our AFK position is going to be pretty high up. And we are skating the very bottom of our spawning spear when we come over here. And this is why you need soul sand. Because, here we go. Because what we're actually going to do once this is all said and done up here is it's entirely passive from here. This is the end of the redstone for the most part. But first things first, let's get this glass out of the way. Because the other part of this is you can't use glass on any of this. It has to be dark. Or I suppose you could get away with using tinted glass. And the reason being because of the despawn mechanics with the way they work now with any hostile mobs is that they are get 30-second immunity, and we'll really break more into that later. But suffice to say, this is what we got to do. Now, the reason why we're going to all this trouble is because we want the zombies underwater as much as possible. 30 seconds of uninterrupted uninterrupted underwater in order to be converted. Once that happens, then they'll start to convert. We got 15 seconds from there. Well, if we're spending all this time and effort moving them over here, why would we waste the 5 seconds necessary to move them across the chunk border and not take advantage of that time? And this is where we need a couple of things. So, let's find ourselves a button. And we're also going to find ourselves boom. Now, buttons used to work for unloading minecarts. That is no longer the case. What is a good substitute? Well, it was pointed out to me on the technical Bedrock archive that, and I've tested this, a small amethyst bud, will dismount the mob. So they will come here and then get immediately tossed down. And we are just gonna fill this up. Now, you don't want anything to be able to get out. And this is it. This entire tunnel of which is these mine carts are in here, and it's going to zip them along right on over there. Now the other thing we want to do here, real quick, is I talked about. Where is it? We want this to work right here. So our mine cart's right here. We want to come out 3. We're going to put that there for now, so we can waterlog. Because we're doing this. What we've now done here, this will all make sense in one moment. We want this little bit rolling out. Now, we don't really care so much about, where is it? Trapdoor. So, this is where we take advantage of the creeper height. The creeper height problem. If you ever built a creeper farm, you will have noticed that a lot of, a lot of people use trapdoors. Right at that level. Because that's a really great way to keep creepers from spawning in. Turns out, this is also a really great way in a minecart to filter out your tall mobs from your not tall ones. Okay. So this is essentially done. We have to slab off this entire thing. There can be no place for any mobs to spawn. However, what we are going to do before that is we are going to get ourselves some redstone wiring so that everyone can see exactly what this thing does. So I find the easiest thing to do is run around, and same as with up here, we want to place one repeater every other space. The reason for this is to direct the redstone signal that we're ultimately going to use into that block to activate the minecart rails. But you want a way to turn this off. When you have 100 minecarts on the screen, your FPS is going to tank. Mine certainly does. And then we're just going to slowly work our way back. Don't break anything of importance. And we're just going to get all this wired up. Now, I said leave in the rails. And you want to. But unfortunately, we can't on this side. But on the other side, leave them. So that way, if you ever have to go back in here and start messing around with the activator rails again, it'll be a little bit easier. If this seems excessive, it is. It's fun that way. From there, you're going to want to do this all the way down. Obviously, to support your platform. If you're paying attention, you may have noticed that this soul sand here is 1 block above. That is almost correct. Soul sand is a couple of pixels short of being a full block, and for whatever reason, when minecarts yeet the mobs out, it'll yeet them on top of this. But it won't if it's 1 lower. And then we will get this. Alright, and that's it. So, I want to work this signal that we got up here and get it down here. So let's utilize the good old glass elevator is a good way to get that. And of course, you're going to want to follow this down. You will inevitably get to your spot where, oh, my redstone signal has failed. Right here. And so we will just play the repeater game. know what? I'm one off. Playing with redstone, it's always fun. The issue here is we have to keep these, the redstone has to actually be pointed into the block. I did that. I totally did that. That is unfortunate. Now, the good thing about this is, well, let's see if there is a good thing about that. And the problems start. Ah, yes. So, easy fix real quick. When you're doing this is a good example of why you should always be careful. So, the problem here is we need to get... Yeah. So, I'm going to do this. We need to retie these rails in so that we can get in there and activate the activator rail, or put it down and have it facing the right way. So we need to do right there. Now, because those are all tied together on both sides, then we can leaving just this one. So for me to do this one, I need to again lock that in on both sides. Then I can safely put that back in there, and I have fixed my mistake. 3, 4, and boom. Then we can close this back up. The lesson being, yeah, there's not going to be editing of this. If you're thinking, this is terrible, this is garbage, it is. I'm glad you agree. So, now that we have this, put that back in, clear that out. Minecart rails. Once you get them down, don't change them. Don't ever change them. We need to do this again. What we'll do is, boom, boom. Nope. Like that. Keep it looping around. Follow it out again. And we just keep doing the same pattern over and over. It works. Put that there. Got to cut off the redstone so it doesn't form a loop back in on itself. One more time for good measure. Of course. Let's see here. If we bump this up one more. Hooray! Let me get my water. We need to fix this. Now, here's the great thing about this. We got that done. Let's clear some of this out. Now, we still have this. This is the last little piece we need. We need to power these rails. How are we going to do that? Pretty easy. Little couple more shenanigans. Put that there. Right there. And what's happening is we're actually taking the reading coming from that side. So now these all have the capability of being powdered. Not bad. And from here, just to kind of show what happens, I'm going to turn mob spawning on. And then I think this is a good stopping point for the bridge with the minecart fun. So, here we go. Mob spawning on. So here we have the creeper. You see, this is where I messed up though, because I did mention that there is a certain thing required. Amethyst buds. So, to give you an idea of how rapidly these things move, let's get some night vision going. Now you will have the occasional zombie there that may decide he's going to stop for a second and fight it. But your baby zombies, they don't. And then if I just stand right here, you're going to see it's a fountain. The zombies end up all the way over there. Creepers. Oh, see, creepers end up right here. Unfortunately, it is possible for the baby zombie to end up in there. He'll despawn eventually. He's also burning up. But if you see how quickly they go. And again, this whole time they're in here, they're running across. So many zombies coming in. Well, that's how we can move them across. Next time will be the glass funnel of death. Old Rusty out. Hello again, in part 4 or 5 or 6, I've lost count, of the terrible tutorial. That is the Old Rusty Cave Copper Farm. So when we left off, we had just completed our directional bridge. And at this point, we are now going to move into the last part. We're going to utilize glass for this. You can use any solid block, but I really think glass is a good way to go. And to basically sum up what's going to happen here is we're going to run through, as they go and they'll spawn over there, they're going to get rolled all the way over here. You're going to have your creepers and your baby zombies and baby zombie villagers are going to get dumped out there into a trident killer. And all your zombies and your zombie villagers and witches are going to come over here. Now from here, we have a real easy time. All we're going to do is have them move up and down in a series of water columns and keep them submerged until until their death. So really what you want to do here is from your soul sand, and I've already kind of laid this out a little bit to speed it up. You are going to want to go exactly 23 blocks up and place a button. The purpose of this button is going to be to cut off the water flow. So we'll start with that. Now, of course, because we're dealing with bubble columns here, we have to have everything waterproof. So, haha. Now, what that is going to do at this point, you want to figure out where am I stopped. Okay, here. All right. Now, the purpose of this right here, this button, is to cut off to interrupt the bubbles. Because what we want to do with that, and we're going to go over here in a second, is we want the zombies they're going to sink whenever they don't have a bubble column to float up on. And we're going to use that to our advantage. But before we can do that, we still have the other problem of the witch. So the purpose of this is to get rid of the witch. By taking advantage of the fact that witch is going to float. And what's not going to float are going to be those zombies. We want to put this right here. Stop that water flow. And then we are going to fill this up the rest of the way. I like to go 3 high because you don't want to give the witch a chance to get anywhere. So what's going to end up happening at the end of all this is that witch is going to come on up when the rest of the zombies are going to stop here. The witch is going to come on up. And from there, they're just gonna bob on out. And you want to just make sure that you have a far enough clearance here that it's not gonna fall on anything. That is important. Alright, so then from here, we're gonna come back down. And where the button is, it's easier if we do this from the outside. So this whole thing right here is the witch trap, because witches will gum up the rest of the water flow. So from here, what we want to do is kind of bring this out. And we need to come out 3. Now, 3 really is the magic number in all this. And I'm going to tell you why here in a second. Because after a lot of testing, the conclusion that I came to was that let's get this built down here first. So we're going to get this water flow here in a second, but once we do, the water is going to come gushing down. So we want to kind of set things up down here before we do that. So this is, at this point, they're going to float down all this water and roll over. What we need to do at that point is get them over to this soul sand. But we can't really have flowing water down here. So we are going to want to put some rails down. And again, since we're doing the east to west, we have to do this. But if you do this, and then there, and we are good to go. Now, of course, the mistake here is, well, let's get rid of this. Let's get this all filled up first. Is I need to waterlog these. And that's a problem, because I didn't already. But that's okay. We'll just... and there. Now let's get the rest of this filled in. So again, I like using glass because it's really funny watching them do what they do. Oh, we don't need that far, do we? Nope. Alright, so from here, we need to have room for the minecart. And then we need the blocks, so they need to have a 2-block clearance. So right here. And then what we're going to do, we are going to bust out there and there. So what happens here is, first off, put a block there temporarily. And ultimately, this is what we want to see. We want a 2-block high water flowing there at the top. And it's going to push the zombies over, and then they're going to fall down. If you go any further than 2 blocks, it's going to break the water for purposes of converting them and then reset the whole counter. But you move them over this 1, 2, 3. So this one right here, this is as far as you can move them. This will still count them as submerged enough. And then from there, we want to block that hole up. So they come through. They get pushed over by the flowing water. We're happy. They get shoved over there, and then they'll continue on their way. The witch will go right on back up there. Ah, yes. That happened. Water flow. Gotta love it. So from here, we have them coming down. We want to keep... Let me get rid of this. We want to keep them moving along. So they're running, so they're going to be flowing here. We need to... Here. Here. And here. And there. Again, 2-block high water at all times. This will keep them moving. Then they're going to get thrown over here. And then we go back up. You could use solid blocks for all this, but I really love the way the glass looks. It's really fun to watch them as they just kind of get tossed around. And again, we're doing the same trick again on this side. We're going to move them and then have them come up here. So the purpose of this magma, if you're not familiar with spawning mechanics, whenever any mob is initially spawned out in light level of 0, it will have a 30-second immunity to despawn. This is about 25 seconds by the time the zombies work their way over here. This magma block resets that counter and keeps them going longer so that they don't despawn. Now, from this part, we're going to set up our last little trap tube here. You want to go down 7, and that's where you're going to put a button. This button is to actually protect our spider web. Now, you can waterlog spider webs. That really adds a lot of time for purposes of how long the mob is going to spend working their way through it. Too long in our case. But what we want this for, and we'll get to it in a second, is once they hit this, it keeps their head submerged long enough in this water to finish out their conversion process so they start shaking. Once they start shaking, they'll have about 15 seconds to convert. This spider web will slow them down just enough so they finish their conversion. Then we yank them out of it with one last final minecart and then go from there. So first things first, we want the water flowing. Put a temporary block on top of your magma so that it really pushes it over. And then from here, you want to come in and waterlog all these. You don't want to be lazy with your water sources because the water flowing downward will speed them up. And this is all carefully controlled so that right when they get here, we're really looking at being pretty good. Last thing, you're going to want to put a solid block there, a minecart, seal this up after you put on your, right there. Seal this up completely. You could try and figure out a way to wire this one up with redstone, but honestly, just keep it easy. There you go. Leave this one always on. Don't put it on the bottom side, though. We want to do it here. Because we have plans. So what we're going to want to do is shoot out our zombies. Are going to come out right here. So this is where we want to come around, wrap around, make sure that you put in enough. And we are going to drop in 1 amethyst shard right there. And this is going to throw out the zombies, and then they're going to fall to their death. So at this point, this is essentially the farm done minus trident killers. So I am going to turn mob spawning back on. And we're just going to let this run for a second. And you want to make sure that you're testing this. Again, so the water flow mechanics, always verify. In case you missed one water source somewhere, it can be painful. Especially once you're, oh, I'm done. Let's get ourselves a spyglass so we can watch a little bit. And then as long as this all runs correctly, we will then move on to our final part of trident killers. Mob spawning turned on. And let's just keep this bad weather off. Ah. This is why you install an on-off switch. See, already coming. However, the one mistake I did make was I failed to power any of these. So let's take care of that problem real quick. Because sometimes even old Rusty forgets important things. So, we're going to put in that. Here, we will just set this up real quick. We'll utilize the existing blocks right here. Get our redstone ready. And again, all we're doing here is continuing the same idea of no, we want to move out one more. Because what we don't want is to ever lock our... So here, we'll do this. Ah, see, so what mistake did I make? This is north. Their preferred direction is north. So, we need to remove that as an option. So, we'll fill that in. And again, minecarts, you really gotta pay attention to direction here. That should resolve that issue. So now that we have that running, we're gonna come back over here and put it back on easy. Always stand in your center 4. We'll work out this AFK spot in a second to maximize it. And then we just wait. And there are the first ones. Now you see that witch floats on up top, and he's just going to fall off and despawn. Meanwhile, these other ones sit there, get grabbed, zip back up. Now, right there, I forgot a water source. See how the bubbles? It's not enough. And that's why you want to test run. So we will, let me get back out. Again, there's a lot of there's a decent amount of debugging. Let's just put it that way. There we go. Ah, you know what? It's good. I forgot this part. So this is one of the problems you're going to have right here if you don't adequately spawn-proof everything, is those annoying squid are going to pop in and gum everything up. Because right now, it can't flow, but the zombies are going to hit it. So at this point, we'll go ahead and install a roof. So what you want to do is from everywhere that you're going to have the zombies going, you really want to keep them from being exposed to sunlight. So really from here we want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Same as over here. You want to come out 7 from the last point. So here 7. Over here you want to come over 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And from here. Because 7 is going to reduce your overall sunlight down to light level 0. Because again, hostile mobs, at this point, their requirements are, if they are in significant light levels from the sky, it resets that 30-second despawn time to 10 seconds. So, oversight on my part, but, you know, I like doing it this way because it looks terrible. And that's what this channel's all about. But in all seriousness, it also highlights why you need to actually put a roof over everything. Because squid count as a surface cap, which means that they're going to sit there and spawn in any water source, and you have a lot of them over here in this entire farm. And then when that squid spawns in, it's going to block everything. Because that squid's going to sit there, and it's going to gum up the whole flow of zombies. Yep. So we'll just fill all this in. I will kill the squid, and then we're going to run it, and we'll see where we're at. I'll slab it off too. And you might be thinking, well, why slab it? This is all just cave spawns. That's all I care about. Well, if you're building this farm because you want copper, you really should build either the ice castle by Rufus Atticus, the ice funnel design by Golden Helmet, or whatever other high-end copper farm you may prefer. But drowned are surface spawn. And you don't want any surface spawns being messed up. This is for the same reason why, if you're thinking, you're watching all this and think, well, this is just converting zombies. I'll just use a spawner. That's way less effort. You're right, it is. It's way less effort. The problem with a spawner is that whenever they spawn in, it counts as a surface spawn, which will interfere with your drowned rates. The advantage of doing this, by converting these cave zombies to drowned, is at no point do they ever interfere with the surface drowned cap, which, by the way, only has 5 per mob cap. So you can play your sim for split density to kind of work around that sum. The same thing we're doing by moving the zombies all the way over. But again, the problem you're going to have is, again, surface cap of 5. We don't want any of our drowns getting in the way of that, and they don't. I could have 100 converted drowned over here, and everything else is just going to keep respawning just fine. Now, let's go take care of our friend here. Yay, he's gone. Oh. Alright, we're just going to leave the area. Hooray, despawn. Alright, let's fix the mess I just made. Alright. So now that's all done. We're going to reset our redstone on our wonderful little switch over here. And then we're going to put in some trident killers. As long as this works. And again, you know, you got to give it a minute. course, it would probably help if I didn't have it in peaceful. There we go. Now let's see. And again, I love staring at this while they're running. It's far away, but just knowing that the ridiculousness. Oh, yeah, and we've already got them coming in there. Now, of course, all your creepers and all that, they're dying over there. And we'll get back to them in a little bit. So here we go. Zombies fly up, come back down. They get grabbed by the minecart, tossed back over, take damage on that magma to reset their immunity. And then really what we're looking, and again, look at how many are there. And they will just keep coming. What we are really looking at this point, and they're shaken. So we want them to convert and then get grabbed, and the spider web really helps with this a lot. You need shears to get one, but you only need one for the farm. This farm does use a lot of different materials. So they're shaken, and again, you see how many they just keep piling in there. And this is the rate that it's always going to run at. See, and then they convert. Now what's going to happen is as soon as they dip just enough down, and then boom, they get tossed out. Now, we could play around with the water flow to shorten their time a little bit, but here's the thing. None of these zombies are getting in the way of anything spawning over here. And because of the way that they kind of are going to get delayed in there a little bit, it's not an exact science, because when they're pushing each other around, they speed the process up a little bit. But that is working beautifully right there. All right, so we're going to go back into peaceful mode. And we are just going to shut this off for now. So, that's it. Everything after this is trident killers, which we're going to do real quick. I like to use Golden Helmet's version, and then we'll go from there. One other thing. So your AFK position, while I'm thinking about this, is you want it to 3, 4, 5. You want it to be as if you're standing on the 5th floor. Because your spawning sphere comes from your head to their feet. And so this block right here that I'm staring at, that is the basically exact middle of this farm to maximize the spawning in all places. And that is 67. So then what you're going to want to do, our spawning spot is going to be at 67. And then, of course, you know, good old phantoms, everyone's favorite mob. When you're AFKing for long periods of time here, yeah. Right, so in this case, this is why level 50. Have your spawning sphere, your AFK position be 17 blocks above. And this will plop you right in the middle of all this. And make sure you get your roof. So, last thing we got to do here, really, is build the, we're going to build out our trident killers real quick. The design I like using, it's pretty straightforward. Utilizes some, there we go. And so from here, that's all running. We're going to do this. So, oh, let me get my glass again. So again, since we know this works, oh, nope. Watch where you put stuff here. You don't want to give them an option of where they can go. So this is our drop chute. You want to put enough space down here, because what you don't want to happen is the trident killer that you're about to build start taking redstone signals from this one minecart, because there's not really a good way to wire this up. But you also need to watch out for the ones down here. So, yep, that's good. So basically what we're going to do here is we're going to pop down right there. And we want to, this is what we're going to make our floor out of. Make yourself a nice little thing here. Now, be cognizant of your chunk border. You don't want to place this so that they're going back across that chunk border. But, you know, quick little, I like this design. I really do. I'll go over to your Y in a second. It presents a decent speed. Let me get, There we go. Upside down stairs. If you have a preferred trident killer, you know, by all means use it. I like this one because it's kind of slow. Makes it real easy to put impaling 5 in here. Oh, no, I want like that. I need some buttons. Because we're gonna be waterlogging some stuff here. That's right there. I don't need one here. And we are gonna do my bad. Two to one, I just messed up my redstone down there. Oh, didn't. Let's get some glass and some glass panes. Again, this particular design is by Golden Helmet. I enjoy it. Because what it will do is it's going to flush all your items out real easy. Pop a redstone in each corner. Observer goes right here. Solid block, solid block. And then you just toss yourself some impaling 5 in there. And then what you do with your sticky piston. We will pop this here. That stops it. And when you want it to start. Nice and clean. You toss yourself in an impaling 5 trident in there. You're good to go. It flushes all the items out here that you can either have running directly into a storage. Or with some kind of item collection, have it all going to central area. You're going to build the exact same thing over here. I'll go ahead and build that, and then we'll just... That'll be it. I'm not going to install chests. We're not going to set up an item delivery. Everybody has their own preferences for those kind of things. But we're doing the same thing here. So make sure it's a big enough drop. 2's good. And then we will lay this out. Same exact pattern, just kind of run this over. So the purpose of this one over here is, again, to kill the creepers. This section of the farm is going to make you 1,000 gunpowder an hour, give or take. Make sure you align yourself with the drop hole. So we want them falling in here. Same deal. Run it around. Upside down stair. Break this. Put that there. I like to use glass here just because it looks good. The advantage of the glass panes is it helps line up the items nicely when they're running through. Put buttons on the back for the ones you're going to waterlog. So you're going to waterlog stairs, then this piston, and this piston. And that is going to create your the water flow that you need. And it's a nice slow pattern that gives everything time to flush out this way. Then you can have it collected into chests. You can have it go and flow outward. You can have it go and flow outward. So then we'll just toss this down. Observer. Observer. Do that. Roll this one around too. Solid block to transmit that signal. Put that down. That. And then here. And then from here, whichever way you want to run that redstone. We'll do it here. One more. Only thing left to do, we've got all this hooked up, is you're going to want to take, and then again, wherever you want to peel it off at, you're gonna need to run this here. So let's just get this going. We'll do a good old glass elevator. Put that there. Knock that out. Knock that out. And again, however you want to tie this in, put that right there, and then we will just run this over here. Nope. I want to do it here. I would say just because again, we're asking a lot here. Put down a repeater. We'll do a reading right there. So that is going to engage that one whenever we flip the switch. And now for over here, it's a little bit different. If you recall, we have this right here. So we're just gonna. We don't want to pull from this. We want to kind of keep this. Well, you know what? Actually, we can. I was wrong. So we want to do this. Really, this is the ideal place to do it on this side. So we want to put that there. Now, what's going to happen? We'll flip this. The only other thing you'd want to do at that point is, obviously, this isn't going to work. So we're going to draw this out. I'm just going to leave it here. Everything's powered up. So from here, with that on, let's verify that, in fact, that extended. That extended. You can plug this up. And that's it. The only other thing you want to make sure of is that you have all spawnable spaces slabbed off. You have this broken. Arrange your collection system how you want. This is a really good way to run the redstone. And then let's put it on easy and verify that, in fact. So again, right, you can see them falling in there. The only thing that's going to make its way over here is going to be those zombies, zombie villagers, and witches. And there we go. Now, the same number of zombies you're seeing over here, the same number of creepers are popping up over there on that far side. And they're dying. You toss yourself in a trident killer. I'm sorry, you toss yourself in a trident into it. Use Impaling 5. And it's just going to toss them. And that's it. So let's just... so that is the awful tutorial of how to build a cave copper farm. If you like it, great. If you don't, you probably didn't make it this far. So again, to give you a last minute overview, wire up all the redstone because there's over 100 minecarts in this farm. It is the same repeating pattern of buttons with skulk veins on the platform, with the wood to block spider spawns on the edges, trapdoors with turtle eggs to lure all those out, and coral fans into this chamber. Zombies start converting right here. Creepers and baby zombie villagers and all that get ejected here. Don't forget to put in your... And then you want to do that so that they can't get out. All right. And then that keeps the baby zombies from being able to slip out. Creepers and baby zombies and zombie villagers come over here to die. Everything else gets over here, gets pushed all the way up. Witches will continue, and they will get pushed out this way, while everything else is just going to work its way through the system. The only downside of this farm right here is very occasionally you will have a witch get pushed right into this corner because of the way the zombie flow works, and it's going to sit there, and it's going to hold back all those zombies for about a minute till the witch despawns. And then it's just going to flow again. And this elaborate mechanism here is going to get you 200 copper an hour and 1,000 gunpowder. Build it in a frozen ocean. You got room on your north side and your south side to build yourself a traditional drowned farm, and you'll get 500 copper an hour. Old Rusty out.